the Overman Warrior Podcast.
Hi, how are you? Are you guys protesting too?
Yeah.
What does your sign say?
I got a bunch.
You do? Did you guys make these during school?
Yeah.
Yeah? Your teachers let you? Yeah, your teachers let you make these during school?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Good to know that.
Hi, Rich Hoffman here. So, Lakota Schools, school district, northern Cincinnati, suburb out beyond the 275 loop. Affluent school, it's in my neighborhood. I can't say that they're any different than any other school, but they had students at 1 o'clock in the afternoon supposedly voluntarily walk out of the classrooms and protest ICE. I wonder where they got that idea from. So I didn't believe it was going to be a thing. The principals at several schools, it was Lakota West, Lakota East, and principals from Hopewell, Liberty Junior, Plains, and Ridge Junior School put out a little letter saying, hey everybody, there's a bunch of students. It's a rumor we heard the students are going to walk out and protest ICE, and there's nothing we can do about it. Whole lot of things wrong with this story. A ton of things wrong. Because if you take what they're telling you in this letter at face value, and obviously, we know that that wasn't the case. We found out that teachers were letting the students do these signs in the classroom. I went to Lakota East at 1 o'clock to see if this was actually going to happen, and it did. And I was there in front of the school as kids were walking out with their signs. So they had to go through the hallways to get out. And the crowd that was out there wasn't a big crowd, but this was provoked by the school, and they wanted to pass it off as the students organically just got together and felt so outraged by this whole thing that they had to go protest. And when I went to Lakota East, they had the news out there, and there were people taking pictures, and it was a media event, and they're trying to show that we're doing our thing, and it's a huge progressive push to show anti-ICE, anti-Trump administration, anti-Republican, because Lakota Schools is in a very Republican area. And supposedly the students did this on their own. So here's what the note is that they put out. And it's really insulting if you take it at face value. This is dated for February 11th. The walkout to go protest ICE. And when I say protest at Lakota East, and I think all the rest, they went to a little location, and a bunch of kids got together and held signs up. And, it wasn't a big group. But it was meant to look like the school came out and supported anti-ICE protests. And you got to know your rights, the kids were out there saying. Know your rights! So it says in this letter, February 11th, 2026, Dear Lakota Junior School parents and guardians, we have become aware that a voluntary walkout is potentially planned for February 12th by students. I wonder who all called the media. It was a voluntary walkout that is potentially planned at all these different schools. All these kids got together on Facebook and said, you know what, we're so passionate about politics that we're gonna go show solidarity for all the illegal immigration and the ICE deportations. They feel so passionate about it, they're going to leave the classroom and go walk around. And what's funny about the Lakota East ones is they went boldly out next to the road, Cincinnati-Dayton Road, and then they walked along the frontage where all the traffic is, and then they hit a little snowbank, and there's a sidewalk behind it. They didn't even want to walk through the snow to get to the other side because they really wanted to go up close to I-29. So they wanted to walk along that frontage and show that they had solidarity with all the people who are being victimized by ice raids. And they hit a little snow that couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 feet wide, and they wouldn't walk through it. Instead, they walked way around by some restaurants and around back over by the school. It came back around another way. It went way out of their way by about a quarter mile, just so they could get back to where they really wanted to go if they just stayed on course. But they wouldn't. That's the way kids are these days. They wouldn't even walk through the snow. So they were protesting. They were obviously encouraged by the teachers to do it, even though they deny it. They say the kids did it on their own. When faced with a little snow, they walked around, and that's just that's what we're dealing with these days. So it says, students have a right to share their political views and participate in peaceful protests as long as it does not disrupt school or infringe upon the rights of others. Like, you know what? A lot of these kids were walking across the street and they were holding up traffic because they were all passing by. So they were infringing on the rights of others. Because the walkout may be planned within the school day, these principals knew it was going to happen, and they say this as if they had no control over it. No wonder kids are having sex with teachers in their classrooms, because they have no control over what happens in the school. They have no control what the kids are going to be doing. It's hilarious. We'd like to make sure that students and families are making informed choices and understand the rules and consequences related to unexcused absences and disruption of school. So are they gonna penalize all these kids that did this when the teachers let the kids make the posters to have for the protest in the classroom? I don't think so. They're endorsing it. They're just trying to get themselves out of liability of affiliation. In addition to the student code of conduct, attendance rules also apply. Students should not leave the building during the school day without reporting to the main office. And they probably did. The main office just said, okay, thanks for telling us. Because they were walking down the hallway with their signs, going out to the road. And they probably got extra credit too. And having the proper parent communication. If this is not followed, a student would receive an unexcused absence. Reasons for excused absences are mandated by state law and can be found in Lakota's attendance policy. Participating in a walkout does not fall within state guidelines for an excused absence. Pre-planned absence requests to participate in a walkout will not be approved. And they just let them have credit. They just let them out of the class. No penalty at all. We encourage all students to treat each other with respect, regardless of their personal views or their decision to participate. That's an encouragement. No student should feel pressured or judged for their choice. Staff members are not allowed to encourage or discourage student participation, even though they let them do the signs in the classroom. That's what your tax money's paying for. We talk about these progressive schools and they teach kids to be radical liberals. This is how they do it. This is how your kids end up being something totally different than what you raised. As always, our goal is to create a safe, supportive, and orderly environment for all students. If your student has questions or concerns, please encourage them to reach out to school staff or administrators, like they probably did. Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, which door do I go out for the protest? That way, little Billy. That way, little Susie. Go through that door. Oh, that's a nice sign. That's the environment we're dealing with. Open, honest conversations help us ensure that all students feel heard and supported. Thank you for your continued partnership as we navigate this moment of civic expression with our school community. Isn't that sweet? Signed 4 principals of 4 different schools, and not Lakota East, not Lakota West included on here. So these were endorsed by the school, encouraged along to participate in civic duty, but it's really a protest against Trump administration policies. The kids who probably have no idea what they're doing. They are either radical liberals trained that way from their students or from their teachers to the students. All the things that we say are troublesome in these public schools. Or they are suddenly found a way to become Democrats, and they're politically active at an unnatural age when they normally wouldn't care at all about what's going on with ICE. Most of those kids probably don't even know how to spell ICE, given the state of public schools these days. So, I went over and I looked at them and I saw what they were doing. It's a pretty small group at Lakota West, considering the population. But it was meant to look, it was a news grab. It was meant to show Democrats are doing that all over Butler County. And they use young people as a way to migrate into culture and look like and make all their conservative parents feel guilty for what they're doing. And to show who has real control over the students, who has real control over the minds of the children. And you wonder why kids go through a 15-year period where they learn all this goofy stuff in public school and then college, where they have the same kind of protests, always the youth movement. Hey, rebel against your parents. Go protest ICE. Do things that we can't do as a bunch of liberal adults that don't have the means to do it ourselves, so we use young people to do it for us. And we're going to let you do it on taxpayer-funded teacher salaries that are sitting there supervising the activity. And then they lie to you. They lie to you and tell you, oh, it might be happening. This might be a spontaneous event. Oh, the students want to express themselves, and we have to let them do it. And if a student wants to have sex with teachers, who are we to knock on the door and check on them? Because there was just a prosecution a couple weeks ago on just that very case. Student goes in with a teacher, they close the door for a while, and they don't come out. Everybody knows what's going on, and nobody asks. Because they don't have any control. None of these principals, nobody has control of what's going on in the schools. And any school board member that tries to inquire about it, they try to get rid of them. They try to castigate them, push them aside. So the school board becomes basically a whole teacher union exemption, essentially. And they try to keep the public from getting mad at what goes on in the classroom by putting out letters like this and saying, this is a spontaneous event we have no control over, but we have to give them their First Amendment rights to protest ICE, but we don't have any control what goes on inside the school. So the students spontaneously want to go protest, so we have to let them. Here's a note saying it might happen. Please understand. That's what's wrong with all these schools. They're liberal incubators that teach kids all the wrong values, and this is the kind of garbage that they're promoting within the schools. And the teachers provoked it. The teachers blew on the flames to make it happen. And we know that for a fact. And you won't hear that from the news. The news showed up saying, oh, look, the students at Lakota, one of the biggest schools in Ohio, are out protesting ICE. We have to be nice to illegal immigrants, and we have to be nice to people who are criminals who crossed our border and not have any legal jurisdiction over our area. Look, the kids are doing it, not a bunch of crazy lunatics that purple hair and nose piercings because they're part of the LGBTQRS movement as 40-year-olds that are still growing up and have a long way to go and a lot to learn. No, these are kids in the school, and they really care about this. So parents, you should listen to your children. They want to express themselves. And really, it's just, we send these kids to these schools. They go through this process with these liberal teachers who have no oversight, and they're in liberal institutions by progressive politics, and they sell it to the children. Why everybody else is just dropping their kids off for a free babysitting service, and it's pathetic. But it happened in Lakota, and it happened in a way that I'd say they openly lied. They openly lied with that letter, and they used your children to convey a political message they don't agree with. And it's pathetic. And that's what your taxpayer money is paying for. And that's why these public schools are dangerous places, and that's why they need serious reform and a lot more oversight. And we have a long way to go. It happened in Lakota. It's probably happened all over public schools everywhere around the country. And anybody that says it's not happening isn't paying attention. Anyway, if you're chopping here, share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. And we've been warning you about these public schools for a long time. And those warnings are manifesting into reality, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. So there's a lot of work to do on that front. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
Thank you for listening.